Welcome back to WION World is One. You're watching Speed News with me, Vidur Kathuria. Let's get started. 14 countries, including France, Britain and Germany, have condemned Israel's recent approval of new Jewish settlement in the occupied West Bank. In a joint statement released by the French Foreign Ministry, the countries recalled their clear opposition to any form of annexation and to the expansion of settlement policies. The countries condemned what they called unilateral actions and said they violate international law and risk undermining the ceasefire in Gaza. Iran's Revolutionary Guards have seized an oil tanker in the Gulf carrying more than a dozen foreign crew members. Iranian Navy claimed the vessel was carrying 4 million liters of smuggled fuel with 16 non-Iranian crew members on board. It added that the forces from the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps boarded the ship as it was leaving Iranian territorial waters. It was not immediately clear which flag the ship was flying. Ukraine and the US have moved closer to a jointly agreed formula to end the war after the latest round of talks. Kyiv seemed to have won some limited concessions in the latest version of a US-led draft plan. The latest version of a plan to end the Russian invasion would freeze the front line but still pave the way for Ukrainian withdrawals and the creation of demilitarized zones. Moscow has repeatedly said NATO membership for Ukraine is unacceptable. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov has said that Russia will review the plan. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has said that Russia could never occupy the Ukrainian heart or break its national unity. In his address on Christmas Eve, Zelensky seemed to wish death for Russian President Vladimir Putin. He said Ukrainians shared one common hope: may he perish, in an apparent reference to Putin. He also condemned Russian attacks leading up to the holidays as godless strikes devoid of anything human or Christian. In the latest attack on December 23rd, at least 3 people were killed and 12 others were injured. In Ukraine's port city of Odessa, an oil spill caused by Russian strikes has left dozens of birds coated in vegetable oil along the beaches. Odessa governor said in a post on Telegram the spill occurred after storage tanks of sunflower oil were damaged in attacks of port infrastructure. Emergency crews installed floating barriers and deployed specialized vessels to contain the leak, while the port's channel was temporarily closed. The US Justice Department says it has uncovered more than 1 million documents related to the Jeffrey Epstein case, and processing these for release could take a few more weeks. The Justice Department said it has received the documents from the US Attorney for the Southern District of New York and the FBI. Algeria's parliament unanimously approved a law declaring France's colonization of the country a crime and demanded an apology and reparations. The legislation has listed the crimes of French colonization, including nuclear tests, extrajudicial killings, physical and psychological torture, and the systematic plundering of resources. Lawmakers were seen standing in the chamber wearing scarves in the colors of the national flag as they chanted "Long live Algeria" as they applauded the passage of the bill.
يتعلق بتجريم الاستعمار الفرنسي بالجزائر.
European leaders have accused Washington of coercion and intimidation after the US imposed a visa ban on 5 prominent European figures who have been at the heart of the campaign to introduce laws regulating American tech companies. The visa bans were imposed on Thierry Breton, the former EU Commissioner and one of the architects of the bloc's Digital Services Act (DSA). Visa was also refused to 4 anti-disinformation campaigners, including 2 in Germany and 2 in the UK. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un oversaw the test firing of a long-range surface-to-air missile at a launch site near its east coast. State media reported that during the test, the missile destroyed targets in the air from 200 kilometers away. Kim also observed construction work at a separate site on a nuclear-powered submarine capable of launching surface-to-air missiles, but the report did not identify the location nor the date of his visit. An earthquake struck Taiwan's southeastern coastal county of Taitung on Wednesday. Surveillance footage captured the moment the earthquake struck a supermarket with products falling off shaking shelves. The earthquake had a magnitude of 6.1 and there were no immediate reports of damage. More than 100 people were killed in a quake in southern Taiwan in 2016, while a 7.3 magnitude quake killed more than 2,000 people back in 1999. A man was killed in Bangladesh as a group threw a crude explosive from a flyover in the Mog Bazar area of Dhaka. The explosive fell on the victim's head and burst, critically injuring him. He died soon after. Police cordoned off the area after the incident as panic spread. Police officials say the investigation is underway and the motive has not yet been confirmed. No group has so far claimed responsibility for the incident. In India's Maharashtra, the Navi Mumbai International Airport has begun commercial operations today, opening a second aviation gateway to the Mumbai metropolitan region. The new airport aims to improve connectivity and accommodate the growing demand for air travel in the region. At least 17 people were killed and several others injured in a road accident in India's southern state of Karnataka. The accident took place in the Chitradurga district after a private sleeper coach bus caught fire following a collision with a lorry. The bus was travelling from state capital Bengaluru to Gokarna. The incident happened early morning around 6 a.m. local time. Nasri Asfura, conservative businessman backed by US President Donald Trump, has been declared winner of the Honduran presidential vote. This comes 3 weeks after elections marred by delays and allegations of fraud, according to National Electoral Council. The National Party candidate Asfura obtained 40.3% of the vote, edging out centre-right Liberal Party candidate Salvador Nasrallah, who garnered 39.5%. At least 7 people were killed after an explosion tore through a mosque in Nigeria. The explosion took place during evening prayers in Maiduguri, capital of Nigeria's Borno state. The city has been at the heart of an Islamist insurgency waged by Boko Haram and its offshoot Islamic State West Africa province for nearly 2 decades. The insurgency has killed tens of thousands and displaced millions across the northeast. So far, no group has claimed responsibility, but militants have previously targeted mosques and crowded places in the city. Santa is on his way. The North American Aerospace Defense Command, or NORAD, is continuing with its tradition of tracking Santa Claus's journey across the world. NORAD, a joint United States and Canadian operation charged with monitoring the skies for threats since the Cold War, has been tracking Santa's Christmas journey for 70 years. NORAD says the tradition started when a child mistakenly called its center and asked to speak to Santa Claus. Prime Minister Narendra Modi attended the Christmas morning service at the Cathedral Church of the Redemption in New Delhi this morning. Modi made his appearance along with a large congregation of Christians of Delhi and North India. The service included prayers, carols, hymns, and a special prayer for the Prime Minister by Right Reverend Dr. Paul Swaroop, the Bishop of Delhi. Farmers held Christmas Eve prayers during a blockade of the motorway near Toulouse in southern France. This as they protested against the mass cull of cows to contain the spread lumpy skin disease. French farmers have been fuming over a litany of issues, including a trade deal under negotiation between the European Union and South American bloc Mercosur, with any further decisions postponed to January. Pope Leo held the first Christmas Mass of his pontificate, greeting thousands of faithful gathered in St. Peter's Square before the service. Pope Leo said that Christmas was a feast of faith, charity, and hope, and criticized a distorted economy that leads us to treat human beings as mere merchandise. The Mass was attended by high-ranking church figures, diplomats, and around 6,000 faithful. Hundreds of worshippers gathered for the Mass at the Church of the Nativity in Bethlehem as the city ushered in its first festive Christmas in more than 2 years. A somber tone had marked Christmases in the biblical birthplace of Jesus Christ during the 2 years of the Gaza war. But celebrations returned full swing this year with crowded parades and music in the occupied West Bank city. Worshippers gathered at the Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris on Christmas Eve as a procession and midnight mass took place inside the landmark church. Choirs sang during the service as Archbishop of Paris delivered the homily, with worshippers filling the cathedral for the Christmas celebration. Delhi's pollution levels have improved on the back of stronger winds. The Commission for Air Quality Management on Wednesday revoked the restrictions under the GRAP 4 for the National Capital Region and adjoining areas. According to the Central Pollution Board data today, the average air quality index in Delhi at 6:30 am local time was 220. The Government of India has issued directions to the states imposing a complete ban on the grant of any new mining leases across the entire Aravalli landscape. The directive seeks to safeguard the Aravalli Hills as a continuous geological ridge stretching from Gujarat to the national capital and put an end to unregulated mining across the region. The announcement comes amid public outcry alleging that the Supreme Court's acceptance of a height-based definition would open up over 90% of the Aravallis to mining. A A powerful winter storm swept across California with heavy rain and gusty winds leading to evacuation warnings for mudslides in parts of Southern California. It brought near whiteout snow conditions in the mountains and hazardous travel for millions of holiday drivers. Forecasters said Southern California could see its wettest Christmas in years and warned about flash flooding. According to a report by Bleeping Computer, OpenAI is testing a new ChatGPT feature called Skills, aimed at adding reusable, task-specific capabilities to the AI. The feature is similar to Anthropic's Claude Skills, which allow users to teach the AI structured workflows and domain-specific abilities. Until now, ChatGPT has relied on custom GPTs, which are prompt-based and designed for specific use cases. The report says ChatGPT skills are codenamed Hazelnuts and will work as slash commands with a dedicated skills editor. Users may also be able to convert existing custom GPTs into skills. The feature is still in testing with a public rollout likely around January 2026. Bleeping Computer has reported that a typo-squatted domain impersonating Microsoft Activation Scripts, or MAS, has been used to spread malware on Windows systems. The report says that attackers set up a look-alike website, get.activate.win, mimicking the legitimate MAS domain get.activated.win. The one-letter difference was used to trick users into downloading malicious PowerShell scripts. Infected systems were loaded with Cosmally Loader, a malware tool that can install crypto miners, and the Xworm remote access Trojan. Users first flagged the issue on Reddit after receiving pop-up warnings about Cosmally Loader infections. Europe's highest ski resort, Val Thorens in France, is using advanced drone technology to improve mountain safety and rescue operations. The ski patrol has deployed industrial drones equipped with thermal cameras, high zoom lenses, and wide spectrum imaging to monitor slopes and locate people in distress. The drones can detect heat signatures and visual details that are difficult to spot from the ground, even in low light and harsh weather conditions. The technology was first used in 2020 when a drone helped locate a person buried in an off-piste avalanche, leading to a successful rescue. From 2026, the resort plans to deploy autonomous docked drones that can take off within seconds and be operated remotely from the patrol office. NVIDIA has signed a non-exclusive licensing deal with AI chipmaker Grok and will hire its founder Jonathan Ross, President Sunny Madra, and other employees. According to a report by TechCrunch, NVIDIA is acquiring certain Grok assets in a deal valued at around $20 billion. Though NVIDIA said this is not an acquisition of the company, Grok, a US-based artificial intelligence chip company, develops language processing units, or LPUs, which it claims can run AI models faster and with far less energy than traditional GPUs. Waymo is testing the addition of Google's Gemini AI chatbot in its robot Axis to act as a ride assistant for passengers. The AI can answer questions, provide information, and control select in-car features such as temperature, lighting, and music. The assistant is also designed to greet riders by name, access basic context like trip history, and respond in short, simple sentences. Waymo said it is experimenting with features to improve the rider experience but did not confirm a public launch. A typically quiet pre-Christmas trading session on Wednesday opened the way for Santa Claus rally, hopefuls with stocks hitting all-time highs again. Risk sentiment got a boost from new jobs data. Wall Street now turns its eyes to 2026 and the potential for more central bank rate cuts despite solid growth data. US benchmarks closed higher in a shortened holiday trading session on Wednesday, with the S&P 500 extending a winning streak to a fifth day. On the other hand, Bitcoin missed out on the Christmas cheer on Wall Street. The OG token has barely stirred and stalled at around $87,300, pinned in a tight $85,000 to $90,000 range and showing little sign of life. Bitcoin is down about 30% from its all-time peak of about $126,000 in October. The token is now on track for its worst quarterly performance since mid-2022. Morgan Stanley says US firms may be able to avoid layoffs in 2026 as long as prices continue to surge. This comes amid growing concerns over rising layoffs heading into the new year. Economists at Morgan Stanley believe companies started raising prices in the third quarter of 2025, citing tariffs as the primary catalyst. Economists believe majority of the tariff pass-through to the final consumer will be completed by 2026, assuming no more tariff onslaught by the Trump administration. However, some analysts emphasize companies are not done raising prices. This can complicate the layoff outlook in 2026. After a reprieve just days ago, China's real estate developer Vanke faces another bond test. China's last major developer has so far avoided debt payment failure. On Monday, Vanke got loan relief after a narrowly won last-minute support to defer payments on a 2 billion yuan bond. Vanke has been holding rapid rounds of back-to-back talks with creditors as it faces a 13.4 billion yuan maturity wall by the end of June. For now, Vanke has won bondholders' approval to delay payments on another 3.7 billion yuan or $526 million bond. However, creditors have 6 options to choose from to push back payments in some form on Christmas Day. In the absence of any extension, the cash-strapped developer would have to pay the note when it falls due on December 28th or within a 5-day working grace period. Otherwise, the firm risks default. Ivory Coast made a winning start to the Africa Cup of Nations title defense. The holders defeated Mozambique 1-0. The Elephants started off strong but squandered off several chances to take the lead. Manchester United forward Amad Diallo provided relief to the defending champions when he struck 4 minutes after the restart. Ivory Coast are aiming to become the first defending champions since Egypt in 2010 to retain the title. Algeria claimed a dominant victory over 10-man Sudan in the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations Group E opener in Rabat. Riyad Mahrez gave his side an ideal start after finding the net just 2 minutes into the game. He doubled the lead just after the hour mark with a composed finish inside the box. Ibrahim Maza made it 3-0 with 5 minutes left, with Algeria's 100th goal in the tournament. The North Africans lifted the title in 2019 but have failed to progress past the group stages at the past 2 editions of the finals.